briefly mentioned NATO and they're linked, I guess you could call it colonialism. But I was interested in maybe if you could share your point of view about the EU and this issue.
Yeah.
Because you really can't hear anything bad about the EU on TV, or if you read about it, it's really, really difficult to find anything bad about it. It's usually praised.
Yeah, you should go out of box.
Mhm.
It is easy to say. Which, when I said you should go out of box, it means that you should start with another kind of university, which is counter university. So you need 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 years of studying another story, another side of the moon. So instead of answering you immediately about Europe, we can postpone debate about Europe. We can have Europe in our ears and eyes, and thinking about that debate about Europe is in front of us. And I will suggest you some names in order to start listening, watching, in the sense of alternative history, in the sense of going out of box. And I give you the toughest, the best. And it's going to be very, very tough and not easy for you, because you are naive, and it's going to be very serious for you. So, okay, 2 or 3 names. One of the main problems of understanding is history. The most difficult point in understanding history is understanding of the Second World War. Story of Second World War was not told yet. It's something which is in front of us. Interpretation of the Second World War is only starting. Second World War was not stopped in May 1945. So this is the first thing you should know. The best guy who is dealing with this story about the Second World War is one from America, but he is not American, he is Czech. It's Peter Levenda. Peter Levenda. Write it down and go study him. He's a very, very interesting guy. And he's speaking something which will not go through your ears at the very beginning. He's also good in understanding of religion, Orthodox religion above everything. He was connected even with Orthodox, Ukrainian Orthodox Church in New York, and so on, that it could be even for anesthesia of some youth. So, National Socialism above everything, the problem of Berlin 1945, the problem of Nazis after, in the sense of Fourth Reich, in the sense of Martin Bormann, in the sense how billions of gold and so on were exported from Europe in 1944, 1945 in directions as Argentina, United States, South Africa, Middle East, Indonesia, Macau. So all around the globe, Nazi bullion went after Second World War, and it was the basis for Nazi movement in the future. So German army, German state was disintegrated. German army signed capitulation, but not Nazis. Nazism is the problem of occult. It's not ideology. It's not state thing, but occult. This occultism is the very essence of almost all things we are facing today. It's quite complicated story, but for you. If you want to understand what's going on in the United States, which is very important for understanding situation after Second World War, because after Second World War, Russia is nothing. Russian state is story about poverty. The very essence of the world was not Moscow, but the very essence and the center of the world was not Berlin, was not Rome, was not Paris, and was not London. It was Washington. To understand United States means to understand the very essence of the last 70 years of the 20th and 21st century. Somebody who gives you, who could give you, probably the best and the easiest way of understanding is Chris Hedges. Chris Hedges, very important guy. He used to be in the 80s in Eastern Germany. He was in Prague. He was in Belgrade. He was in Kuwait during the intervention and the second war in the Middle East against Iraq and so on and so forth. So as far as United States is concerned, the problem of American imperialism, the disintegration of America, the ending of American imperium is Chris Hedges. And lastly, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most important guys is Joseph P. Farrell. Joseph P. F-A-R-R-E-L-L. Joseph P. Farrell. He's of my generation. He studied in Oxford, and he studied patristics, so religious studies in Oxford. He opened enormous quantity of counter studies, and in a way you can study him as a counter university. He wrote around 30 books for the time being. You can buy them between $15, $18 towards 25 mostly. And you find his page, it's Giza Death Star. And he's interpreting history from point of view of very, very deep past in the sense of Egypt, but also Second World War, after Second World War, but also from the point of view of understanding of the money, from the history of Venice, also from history of Vatican, but also he's producing comments on the everyday events. So it's enough for the beginning. So 3 of them, very important names, and you can go through their understanding, explanations, and so on. But maybe one information more, you have a lot of interviews with important guys from this another dark side of the story. You can't find it at university. At the side, just put in dark side journalists. Dark side journalists. And he is having interviews with hundreds, tens of important guides from this another story or from this another interpretation. And you can use, and you can find easily, Isidora, also another story in the sense of interpretation of Europe. How Europe is connected with the Bormann's and Hitler's late ideas after 44. When it was obvious, at the beginning of 1943, I suppose you have a small idea, was actually a very important battle took place in Russia, disconnected with Ukraine and so on, in Stalingrad, on Volga. And also later on, in the summer of 43, it was a very big battle in Kursk. And after the beginning, first half of 43, it was so clear for all of them, for Churchill, for Roosevelt, for Tito, and especially, of course, for Hitler and so on, that they lost Second World War. That the only question is when the Russians would be in Berlin. So when they lost two biggest battles of the Second World War, Stalingrad and Kursk, because the future of the world was in the fight in Eastern Front, not in the Western Front. Normandy is nothing in comparison with Stalingrad and Kursk. Just one comparison. Try to be very concentrated now. Have you any idea how many Americans lost their life during the Second World War? Ivana?
I don't know.
Not much, maybe.
What do you think?
Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong, but
I'd say probably a lot less than
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
How many, approximately? A little more than 500,000. 511 approximately. In all battlefields, Normandy, Okinawa, Sicily, South France, Northern Africa, Midway, and so on. 511,000 approximately. What about Soviet soldiers? Now, Soviet soldiers means Russians, Ukrainian, Belarusians, Cossacks, all of them, including people from Mongolia and so on, all Soviets.
Well, I in my head I have a number of 26, 27 million.
Exactly. There is no exact number, but it is between 20 and 30, even 35 millions. Let's say, and be conservative, that it is 25 million. Now, what is the ratio between 25 millions and half of million? It's a 50, 1 to 50. Do you understand where Hitler was beaten? Or to go to Balkans, only Yugoslavs, more than 1.5 million, 3 times more than Americans. And then add to this Albanians, Greeks, Bulgarians, Romanians, and so on. You will get, it's a crazy. And all these data are something which is totally out. I mean, you're not capable of understanding. To go back to Europe and to conclude and to have 15 minutes break. So between actually December and December 42 and July, at the end of the Kursk tank battle, it was a period in which West, East, everybody, above everything, Hitler. And above everything, Martin Bormann realized that this is the end of the story. So they wanted desperately B plan. So we lost the war. We should do something in order to keep Germans in Germany. And then you have B plan. B plan is all money out of Germany in banking system around the globe. All important guys, SS, above everything, out of Germany. We need desperately new colonies. The center of these new colonies were in Argentina. Pavelić was in Argentina. That was the reason. He was a member, he was an inner part, Eustachi were of this story. And then South Africa, that's the reason why explosion of racism took place after Second World War. And then Indonesia, and also in United States, but individually, collectively, mainly in South America, which means not only Argentina, but Paraguay, Chile, Colonia Digital. It's a very important thing. Brazil, entire South America was a National Socialist South America for decades. And then from these directions, with enormous quantity of money, they reinvent Germany. There is no miracle in Germany in 1950s and 60s, but it's connected with enormous billions and trillions of money, stolen money from all Europeans and Russians and Soviets. Reinvestment in Germany. This is the story. And in this bigger picture and story, the role of Europe is the plan known already for 44. And Europe is in a way connected as the idea around this plan of Nazis. It's not Nazistic, but it is connected with it in the sense of idea. Germany in the center, Reich Marx in the center, and then everything around the strong, industrialized Germany. What's going on today in Europe? Germany, strong, industrialized. Brits are out. France is not so important. France is on its knees. So when we are thinking Europe, you should know history, but above everything, history of National Socialism. This is one side of the story. Another one is that Europe is story of CIA. The problem, which is very difficult to understand for you, is connection with between CIA and National Socialists. And you have no idea about it. This connection is very important. And it started immediately after Stalingrad and Kursk in 1944. CIA employed secret services of Nazis. Reinhard von Gehlen, try to remember the name, Reinhard von Gehlen, was the first guy of secret services in Germany, Bundesnachrichten, BND, from 45 to 68. I will repeat it. So one of central Nazis was the main guy of secret services in Germany after 45, between 1945 and 1968. At the level of CIA, you immediately, if you want to understand what's going on, should start with studying Brother Dulles. Brother Dulles, D-U-L-L-E-S. So this is very, very short way of answering your question about Europe. If you think Europe about, oh, we Europeans, oh, European standards, oh, lovely Europe. This is blah, blah for ordinary people. The story is similar as a COVID. So be careful, 15 minutes break and then back.
May I just
Yeah.
comment shortly?
Come on.
If we have all of that knowledge and we figure it out, the world how is functioning, it's really hard to keep it to ourselves. And I think it's no point in having that knowledge because we know that it's impossible to break something that has been built for like at least 1,000 years. So
you can choose the way you are living. I choose the way of understanding. This is part of Aristotle, Hannah Arendt, Ludwig Wittgenstein. That's my way of life. You can choose something else. It's better to live without knowledge. I agree with you, because happiness is not so closely connected with the knowledge. Quite the contrary is the case. But that's my life. You can choose another kind of life. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
thank
See you later.